Ever wondered what makes TV so powerful in Jamaica? Time to find out. Welcome to Global TV Group 358, where television meets innovation. We're not just about shows, we're about shaping society. In Jamaica, TV keeps you informed, connects diverse voices, and supports democracy. Imagine a Jamaica where broadcasters unite, sharing data and collaborating globally. That's us, a unified voice in the TV industry. Did you know TV advertising is still king? It drives website traffic, boosts brand equity, and powers integrated campaigns. Even in an age of digital, TV stands strong, resilient in tough times. Our global TV deck is your treasure trove of insights and data. With charts, graphs, and success stories, it's your guide to impactful TV advertising. Curious to learn more? Visit our website and see how Global TV Group 358 keeps television at the heart of entertainment in Jamaica. Get ready to binge watch the future.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside a rub and cheat, and not first and four. Make up what I seen to make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a plan! Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. So, my favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red, I. How they want to see, they didn't can sell out Rasta, and sell it out, I sell out Babylon. They give man show and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give man show and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, they can sell out Rasta, I sell out, I sell out Babylon. Just talk on the Friday. You might go and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black thing, you might go and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what's a black? Big him and show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rastaman show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men.
from Buster to Andrew, they all have a problem with the African identity. While the previous and current Minister of Education is out and about touting the new rollout of the buses, the education system is still lack of resources. The Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, the Jamaica Labour Party Constabulary Force, JLP-CF, is carrying out its relentless attack on those who do not share their views. Choose Jamaica, but leave your children out of it. Good afternoon from London. It is a good morning to you on the Eastern timeline. Welcome to At a Glance. This is your station, Global TV, which is causing headache to some people. Good on you, Global TV. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for joining us this morning. Tell them if I know me not go turn out along with you this morning because me say sun out a door. And rain go start tomorrow. True because of that, then me make sure me enjoy some of the rest of the good weather. Good morning to you all and welcome to my community of Parity and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good morning and welcome. Good morning to those in Canada and New York from Parity, doff and docile though you are. Good morning. Welcome. Thank you all for joining us. I mean, the school year has just started, and the attack on your children, African identity, has started. A whole raft of them. And let me make it clear from the start. I am not tackling the issue of uniform. That's to the school and their policy. That's not my concern. I'm not concerned about the school stance on uniform policy. That's not a concern. So hopefully that is clear to the deaf ears that normally causes problem. I am speaking particular to hair. All right? So don't be misguided. I'm not speaking about uniform policy. Not a concern that I have. The concern I have is the Black identity, the African hair that is continuously rejected in our education system. That ought to be a major concern for us, given that we are 90% of the Jamaican populace. And if our God-given identity is not accepted, then that should cause you concern. You choose Jamaica, but they have not chosen your children. Morning, everybody. Onodo. Sharon Bernard, good morning. Good morning. True Love, real sweet, good morning. Norman Ferguson. Sophia Hall, good morning. Don Mel, Barbara Simpson, Colleen, Julie Roberts, Andrea Joan Hamilton Wilson, Monica Horton, Colin Richards, Colin Althea, Ladybug, Ada James, good morning, and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Who else is there here? Good morning, TikTok. How are you doing? Kevin Instanani, Carlton, Sexy K. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. The school year has just started. Raymond G, how are you? The school year has just started, but your children has been left at school gate, Zenet Beckford, Vern Adams, because their hair, their identity, their African identity is not accepted amongst the Jamaican society when it comes to the education system. Now, some people are saying, what do you have to do with this? Everything. Andrew was the one who told us, you chose a government to make decision and you must hold that government accountable. The prime minister, he said, you must hold. You choose a prime minister to run the country and you must hold the prime minister accountable. So that is what we're doing, as Andrew has asked us, holding Andrew accountable. Annie Jones, Delpha Campbell. Now, given the last court ruling from Kensington, I think what, primary and junior high or something of the sort in St. Catherine, white lies to Andrew. For those of you who are not aware, there is a thing called collective responsibility in government. If it's Dana's fault, it's the entire cabinet fault. If it's Andrew's fault, it is the entire cabinet's fault. If it's Fabal's fault, it's the entire cabinet fault. You see, like all of them government ministers are out taking the glory of the old bosses that the prime minister continue to lie to deliberately and mislead the nation that they are new bosses. You will hear from the prime minister. He uttered it yesterday again. New bosses. Not new school transport system. That argument could fly if they're referring to it as new school transport system. That's quite different, Pamela Okola, from new buses. That is quite different, Winston Morning, from new buses. But the Prime Minister continued to deliberately lie to and mislead the nation. Now, coming from the last ruling at the Kensington primary in St. Catherine, even though the court ruled on religious grounds, if they don't have a problem with our hair, there's two ways the issue can be dealt with. One, respect freedom of expression in the Constitution, as well as the government can bring legislation to make sure the schools, Stacey and Levy, how you do? The schools, Christopher Morning, does not interfere when it comes to our hair. You have what is called in the legislative system or the source of law system, it's RM. Good morning. Dennis and Brian, good morning. You have what is called in the legislative or the source of law framework, which is called secondary legislation, or we rather call it delegated legislation. Now, what that allows, there is a legislation somewhere that allows the Ministry of Education to create a policy without going to Parliament. It is called a secondary legislation. So the Ministry of Education can and could send out a directive to all schools on the matter of hair. So saying this has nothing to do with Andrew, or this is not Andrew's responsibility, then you don't understand what collective responsibility means. One guilty, all guilty. One have a glory, all have a glory. You cannot have it your way. It have to go by the black letter where them operate by. Given that this issue of our hair is a continuous issue in our schools where children get turned away and locked out of school because of their hair, it is something that the government, something that has gone through the courts, it is something that the government must deal with. It is something that the government must deal with to put the matter to bed. Otherwise, we're going to continue to have our children excluded from education just because the principal said, that's exactly how I want your hair to look, and that's how you must make it look. That's not freedom of expression. The uniform, I'm not getting involved in the uniform. The school can have its uniform policy. But when it comes to your hair, let us look at one of the video of the hairs that the schools are having problem with. But a lot of these people from the Jamaica Labour Party support side, they are willing to sacrifice everything to go along and get along with this government. It's a go along, get along game with this government. That's not how it ought to be. They took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. That Constitution which gives us freedom of expression, how we want our hair to look. How we want our hair to look is a constitutional right, Verna Adams, morning. Not the principal's right, not the Prime Minister's right, Janice Lewis, not the Minister of Education right, but our God-given right to carry our hair how we want it, protected by the Constitution. Let us look at this video.
It's that time of year again. You might be thinking back to school, but we're specifically talking about students being locked out because of grooming and attire. A concerned parent called our newsroom Monday morning. This is her son's haircut. She says he was barred.
What is wrong with that haircut, Jamaica? Can Jamaica Chronicles morning? Can Jamaica tell us what is, or not Jamaica, Jamaica Labour Party supporters, because of UNO, I back up these principle and this attack Abina Sarkodie on the African culture. What is wrong with this hair on screen that was turned away from school yesterday? What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that hair that was turned away from school yesterday? It's time for this matter to be put to bed, either by respecting our Constitution or bringing legislation, making sure, Violet Watts morning, Campbell morning, the schools respect our constitutional right. But it's a constant violation as the African culture or God-given identity is not a part of the Choose Jamaica Brigade.
From entering the school. And at St. James High School, a group of boys gathered outside the school gate. The problem? Haircuts, altered uniform, shoes. The school's chairman says in such cases, parents or guardians are to be contacted and students sent home in their care.
The code stipulates how students are to be attired. And if that code is being breached, there's an agreed way as to how it is dealt with. Now, locking students out of school is not one of the things that the board agreed with. We have discussed it at length because it's something that occurred quite a few times. I myself had to visit the school on several occasions where students were prevented from entering because of some of these breaches.
It caught the attention of DSP Peter Salke, Zone 3 Commander for St. James.
I have not yet spoken with the administration as to why they have been locked out. I don't know if it has to do with dress code or late. I'm uncertain. Nevertheless, we'll have discussion surrounding this. All in all, other than that, school have been out to a smooth commencement across the parish, based on my understanding this morning.
St. Andrew High School for Girls took to Instagram Sunday with this post. Quote, Please be reminded, absolutely no edges, end quote. The caption says, the wearing of edges is now officially banned on campus. Remember, curtains belong in the house, not on foreheads. Students were also barred at Calabar High School, with the administration citing dress code violations. Students said black hair dye, incorrect belt buckles, tight pants, and incorrect height for hair were among their violations. TVJ News understands that the breaches were highlighted during orientation. However, students returned Monday with the infractions. Now, president of the National Parent-Teacher Association of Jamaica, Stuart Jacobs, is urging parents to ensure their children comply with school rules, including those relating to grooming.
Even if you don't like the rules, even if you don't think it is fair, there's a way in which you can go about arguing these rules or arguing against these rules to be adjusted by going to your PTA meeting and speaking, or speak to your PTA president to take it to the school board. But to keep on doing these infractions and breaches, then it is not sending the right signal to as a responsible parent, and it's not a good example for your child.
This was then Education Minister Favour Williams in 2024.
We are still insisting that no child should be locked out of school because of issues with dress and grooming.
But today, the current minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon, says she has alerted a regional team for investigation and intervention where necessary.
This is a matter that can be easily put to bed by the government. A matter that can be dealt with, one, through respecting the Constitution. Two, the cabinet brings legislation to Parliament to put the issue to bed, or it can just be simple done by the Education Minister through what is called secondary legislation, which you don't have to go to Parliament for. Something that the Ministry of Education can come up with a policy paper and send a directive to all schools across the country not to prevent children from accessing education based on their hair. As we said, the uniform policy is not an issue for me. The school can have their own uniform policy. But you're here, and what God give you. And these children, what them are bad about them here, when you look at this young man here, where he was rejected or locked out of school yesterday, this is a major cause for concern. What is wrong with their hair? Based on what we see on screen, there's nothing wrong. His hair is not blocking anyone's sight, vision, or preventing their access to learning. So if it is that this is a concern for the government, this can be dealt with by Dana Dixon department alone. We don't even have to go to Parliament. We don't have to go to Parliament on this matter. It is protected. It is protected by the Constitution. So it is something that they must respect. All right, them don't want to respect it. It is something that comes up all the time. It gets all the way to our courts, I think all the way up to our appeal courts. I don't remember if it went to the Supreme Court, but it went all the way up to the appeal court, if not up to the Supreme Court. And even though the court did not make a blanket ruling, they rule on religious ground in respect to Rastafarians. Now, given that ruling, the government can bring legislation to put the matter to bed once and for all. But for those of you who chose Jamaica last week, have your children been chosen as a part of that Jamaica who you chose? Because you chose Jamaica, but your children is being denied education because of that same Jamaican identity that you all hoot and tout about. Where is the Jamaica that your children should enjoy and have a piece of? The Prime Minister continues to lie deliberately and to mislead the people of Jamaica. This is not an accident. This is not a slip of the tongue, because it is something that comes up regular when JLP politicians open their mouths. New bosses. Now, if they're new bosses, Prime Minister, when have you ever seen anybody buy a new vehicle where you have to spend so much money on them to get them operational? Where have you seen anybody ever buy new vehicle, even new in the sense of brand new second hand? And immediately, Prime Minister, you have to start spend money to get them all operational. But because the Prime Minister only appeals to the JLP base when him talk, and him knows that the JLP base is starved of knowledge, then they won't be able to think, or they won't be able to point out that the Prime Minister is lying deliberately or misleading the people. Listen to Andrew Holness.
This morning, I decided to observe firsthand the rollout of our new buses.
The rollout of our new buses. When is this Prime Minister going to speak to the people of Jamaica with any respect whatsoever? Now, these new buses, we've seen the many tire blowouts across the country during the election campaign. We see the ongoing mechanical fault that even occurred yesterday morning in their rollout as well. The government have to spend $25 million on tires to get the old buses going. The Minister of Transport told us that they only have a 20% engine capacity. Them have to spend money to change the door them from one side to the next. But the Prime Minister still keep going around and using the word new bus, as if everybody in Jamaica dons like labor rights. We know labor rights are dons, and we know you speak to labor rights, but Jamaica is not just about labor rights, Prime Minister. This is not, Jamaica is not about labor rights. Because I'm sure some of these children which were locked out of school are labor rights children as well. Or people who support the Labour Party and sing the Labour Party sad old tune. When will this Prime Minister have some respect for the people of Jamaica and speak to the people of Jamaica as if we're not all illiterates? You cannot continue to go around the country using the word new buses when the very sight of them, Prime Minister, everybody know them not new. It's okay for you to call it new school bus system, not new bus. new rural school bus system because it's a new system of transport to transport our children to school. That argument sells. But new buses is a deliberate lie, Prime Minister, is misleading the nation given how much taxpayers have spent 1.4 billion to secure these buses, 25 million to buy new tires, a raft of mechanical failures, Prime Minister. How can you speak to the nation continuously like that? Like we never got school as well? Exactly, Georgia. Look at the Minister of Education here. Look at the hair of the Minister of Education. Not something given by God. Something will cut off a jackass tail, mind you. Something will cut off a jackass tail. And the Minister of Education here is acceptable going into school, standing in front of our children, who the same education department is telling our children, your hair is not acceptable enough. They choose Jamaica. Did Jamaica choose their children?
This morning, I decided to observe firsthand the rollout of our new buses and to see the impact of the buses on public transportation. The number of buses that we have put on the routes today, both in Kingston and in Montego Bay, will significantly improve the quality of our public transportation, both in terms of the quality of the service, the condition of the bus, and reliability.
Now, at the same time, while the government is moving around the country, promoting these old buses, your children and the schools that they're attending, not only that they're locked out because they don't like how them here look, the conditions in their schools are terrible. They are staff of resources in the school, but the government went on a spending spree that wastes taxpayers' money. And now school open with shorter resources. Your children are locked out of school gate because they don't like their African identity. It is you who chose Jamaica. While they depend bus pan road, I promote all bus. Look at the condition of your children's classroom. So I don't see why them have problem with the children them here, but now have problem with these classroom. Because the environment of learning tells you why we're not producing results anymore. The fact that our schools can be focused on what our hair look like, even though the most ghastly eyesore looking thing in our country is the Minister of Education's hair. But your children are being told that haircut is not deemed acceptable. That haircut is not deemed acceptable. And for you on TikTok is the young man particular to your left, which is holding his head down. He was one of who, a multiple of them were turned away, not just on hair, only on other grooming issues like uniform size, belt buckle, or after of other things. Me not have problem with the rest of them something there. My problem is with the hair, the God-given identity that from Buster to Anjo, or African identity, has come under rigorous attack. Rather than focusing on the environment our children are learning in, focusing on the resources available to educators to teach our children, the government major concern, the Ministry of Education major concern, schools principals across the country major concern is our children here. Because if the government itself didn't have a problem with our children here, the school couldn't be repeatedly carrying out this attack on our children here without the government forcing them to respect the Constitution. Or the Ministry of Education sends out a directive. The Ministry of Education sends out a directive to all school administrators on the matter of dealing with our hair. So if the government does not collude with the school administrators across the country, they can put the matter to bed. The matter went all the way up to our courts. And here we are, September morning, 2025. Black children are being put out of school, locked out of school in Jamaica because of haircut. They chose Jamaica. Was their children a part of the Jamaica they chose?
At them concourse TV the ever seen a jumble up. See how you see it, see when you see it for your grade 7 at a high school. Grade 7 at a high school.
No, if I am one of the children standing at the school gate, first time in secondary school or high school, Max Romeo, come off of my platform before me tell you fuckery this man. Come off of my platform. Come off my platform. Move! Move! Get away from here. Not welcome. Right. Back to your children, your 7th graders, who is going to secondary school for the first time. Imagine they being turned away at school gate based on the haircut we see on screen that was turned away from school. And then to turn up in a classroom and see the derelict condition of the classroom. Never mind if the Minister of Education turn up to give a talk to our children and them say backside, then a jackass along in that, and them have a problem with what God give me. You see why we not produce results in our country? Because we're focusing on the hate of Black culture in our country rather than focusing on educating our children to give them a better life. That's why we are producing dismal results. Very, very dismal results. Look at Dana Dixon's hair. If it is so good for the Minister of Education, who ought to be setting an example for our children, then what is the problem with our children?
At them concourse TV the ever seen a jumble up. See how you see it, see when you see it for your grade 7 at a high school. grade 7 at a high school. I have to say to you, all that they should do in there, everyone has their hand. So what that they supposed to be? That's supposed to be something you can write on. You look so. Put it on top of the desk. This is supposed to be in a classroom. You put on my phone on it, I go slide down. So, I must have to play marble pan. Because what is this? Good morning. You're a teacher here? I'm not pleased at the classroom then. Especially this one. Put it on the desk. Or somebody drop out of it. But they said not even one fan. The classroom them put a sweep out and pop out. Nothing.
No, sweep.
No, you no sweep. Look here. I'm going to show you something say no sweep.
And you wash out too.
No, you no wash out, sir. Nobody take up for them. Look here, sir.
Okay.
This no sweep and this no map.
No,
man, me disappointed.
I want to the fun.
No fun. Don't put more.
There used to be fans there. And I say me on the same.
So how them gonna operate in a classroom like this with no fun? It's gonna be. It's more than difficult. And even if this one is working, why it's not spinning? So when the student come back, the classroom can be cool. This is a major concern. 7K. Yes, sir.
And stupid ass Max Romeo coming to my platform, come tell me rules are rules. So there's no rule when it comes to the government maintaining or education facility. There's no rule when it comes to the upkeep of our school. Rules apply unfairly does not make society any better. What it does, it rather cause resentment in society. When one rule imposed to one set of people and then another rule imposed or is broken by another set of people. And I come talk about rules are rules. What rules about your God-given identity? Why nobody is not attacking the Minister of Education here? Why nobody can tell the Minister of Education, your hair is not good enough to go in school with? Come tell me about rules are rules. This is one of Dunce JLP come up people platform come do all the time. Back up with the blatant fuckery of this government. And the attack on our African identity, which I'm concerned about and is talking about. What rules about how our hair are what God gave to us? What rules are they? These JLP people are so stupid.
This nothing stays on my love. Teachfield High School up in Portland. They Teachfield High School. Hell no. When me hear about Teachfield High School, me I come to say, yeah. Because them say Teachfield at top school in Portland, right? So me expect to see a better. You understand? You hear the man say this classroom sweep and map. So how I'm not afraid, me go wipe my finger on the floor and show him say, oh, if this did map and sweep, me could take up so much dust. But them not gonna.
Nobody cares about the children of Jamaica. These people have no care for the children of Jamaica. All our education system has become is an oppressive regime. And that is why our schools, one, is turning so violent, and two, is underperforming when it comes to results. Because the educators within our schools have their priority wrong. They're no longer there to impart knowledge. Their job is to tell you how you should look, how your hair should look. This is disgraceful in 2025. A 90% African descent population. And in 2025, we still, after 63 years of independence, we still have problem with Black identity. And we mustn't talk about it. What rules are there to follow with your Black identity? The rules are laid down in exactly how you look. Those are the rules for Black identity. That's the rule for Black identity. Not what a principal demands. And so it go. It's discrimination. It's ostracizing us because of our African identity. We're going to talk about it. Look at the Minister of Education. How much years Dana Dixon in the Senate? And Dana Dixon still a walk with the old man beard pan her head. Those that don't know old man beard, that big bunch of thing we're growing a logwood tree in a Jamaica. The Minister of Education is not setting an example for our children then. They chose Jamaica, didn't they? Your children wasn't a part of the Jamaica that you chose. Certainly wasn't. She said she has sent task force go investigate. You don't need to send a task force go investigate. You need to send a directive from the Ministry of Education to all schools around the country and the matter of not refusing our children entry based on their hair. Your uniform policy is a different thing. If you want to enforce your uniform policy, fine. But you cannot collude with this government if you have anything about you, if you understand anything about your history, your African identity. You cannot collude with this government and the constant attack on our hair. This is not about Rastafarian, This is that haircut you see on screen. That is about that haircut. We don't even the Rastafarian issues that went to court were balmy in a Jamaican society. The highest office in our land, or parliament, it have the dreadlocks here in it. I'm not talking about the dreadlocks culture, the dreadlocks here in it. Why then is it not good enough for our school? You see the us and them. You see the one rule for one and the other rule for one rule for the other. If it's suitable in our parliament, why is it not suitable in our schools? If Dana Dixon here is suitable to walk around in our country, what about ours? Because I'm sure Dana cannot say to us, God gave me this. She cannot. So it's bullshit been going on by the school administrator and the education department and the government, who refuse to deal with the matter and put it to bed. Under the Andrew Holness regime, a court case went all the way up to our appeal courts. And here we are, September morning, when you chose Jamaica a week ago, your children were denied education yesterday because of how God created them. Because of how God created them, they were being denied education. And we don't fit talk. Jamaica is not a dictator, It's not a dictatorship. The Jamaica Labour Party Constabulary Force, JLP CF, if we notice, they themselves are ushering in dictatorship in the force, because you must go along with Kevin Blake to get along. You must go along to get along. So as long as you're not towing Kevin Blake's line, you are going to get booted. So basically, it's a dictatorship being run in the Jamaica Constabulary Force, because young Kevin nothing have no dispute. If Kevin no like what you say or do, you're going to be fired. That means the Jamaica Labour Party Constabulary Force, JLPCF, is under a JLP dictatorship. The Jamaica Criminal Force. They're under real dictatorship. So Kevin announced new position for the Police Association chair. They chose Jamaica, didn't they? I'm sure Kevin Blake colluded with Dr. Chang and Gospel Brown the other day to deny you of your democratic rights when it comes to exercising an all vote as well. So the Jamaica Labour Party Constabulary Force, or criminal force rather, has been showing that if you don't toe the line, there is no space here for you. We thought Kevin Blake was going to be anything better than Gugu Gaga. But what we are seeing, that Kevin Blake was just a mole placed there to carry out Andrew Holness's bidding, or to make sure Andrew Holness' dictatorship regime is in place and his members must fall in line. And that are going in our country, people. And that are going in our country, because members of the JCF, you have to fall in line to keep your job. Remember Rowan James? Remember what they did to Rowan James as well? So you must fall in line as per what we're seeing coming from the JCF. No freedom of speech in our country, is there? Freedom of speech under attack. Freedom of expression under attack. Freedom of association under attack. Freedom of movement under attack with the constant curfew of this government. A government going into its third term and still yet to furnish the nation a crime-fighting policy. I wonder what the Choose Jamaica Brigade have to say about all of these things. Or is it that all of us must fall prostrate in front of the dictator that has just stolen our election? Darrell Vaz and his trinkets rolled out them new bus. Of course, with hiccups. We know there was going to be. But the minister published one of the buses yesterday got some traffic violations. And the minister over Elon's mouth put out a tweet over Elon's mouth and say he's putting this information forward as a matter of transparency. Now, I want to say to Darrell Vaz, the half-hearted transparency does not wash. The half-hearted transparency from Darrell Vaz does not wash. What the people of Jamaica needs, what the people of Jamaica need, I don't think I did have it on my slide. Let me bring it independently into the studio. What Jamaica need, Darrell Vaz, are the invoices under your transparency rules. What we need are invoices. I heard that them start to fire people. Well, a lot of people are going to face the brunt of this corrupt government. Let me bring Darrell Vaz's flyer before we go to the video. Because the minister said he's releasing this as a matter of being transparent. Now, my argument to the minister, hold on. My argument to the minister is, if it's about transparency, why then not furnishing us with the invoices so we can see for ourselves what these buses cost us? If you're so transparent, let us see how much these buses cost. Let us see the invoices. It's taxpayers' money. Let us see the invoice of the tires. Let us see the invoice for what it costs us for the retrofitting of changing around the door then. So you can't be half-heartedly transparent. Go the whole hog with it. You can't be transparent on this, but not on the invoices. The invoices are taxpayers' money. And we deserve to know how our taxpayer money have been spent. So just go the whole transparency way. But let's look at some of the hiccups of the new rural.
My picking was just so long away from the bus. And now me see bus there. And now me see one of them yet, so warm to them.
Bus loaded and ready to go. This was the scene in Halfway Tree early Monday morning. This school bus travels the Halfway Tree to Mavis Bank route. It's one of 60 buses which began operations at the start of the new
Very
school
selective,
year.
Opal.
There's 2 in Westmoreland, 4 in St. Andrew.
Very selective. Darrell Vaz come release traffic violation because he's transparent. What happened to the invoices? What happened to the invoices for the dollar bus them? What happened to the invoice for the $25 million water tire? The retrofitting and the mechanical work. The country deserves to know how much this nonsense costs us. Well, we could have gotten better for the bullshit that Darrell Vaz bring us that is about to put our children in risk and danger. These people. But then again, you have them supported by dunce. That's why they can continue for things that are just labor right alone in Jamaica. Because they only speak to the dunce labor rights.
My picking was just so long away from the bus. And now me see bus there. And no, me see one of them yet, so warm to them.
Bus loaded and ready to go. This was the scene in Halfway Tree early Monday morning. This school bus travels the Halfway Tree to Mavis Bank route. It's one of 60 buses which began operations at the start of the new school year.
It's 2 in Westmoreland, 4 in St. Andrew, 1 in Clarendon, 2 in Hanover, 10 in Manchester, 5 in Portland, 8 in St. Anne, 5 in St. Catherine, 10 in St. Elizabeth, 2 in St. James, 7 in St. Mary, 1 in St. Thomas, and 3 in Trelawney. We have a few reserve buses, I think about 6 of them, which I'm going to also commission rather than keeping them as contingency because of obviously the demand for the routes.
But the bus assigned to St. Thomas was a no-show. These students waited for hours before opting to resort to the old way of taking a taxi or a regular bus to school.
We are in waiting the school bus that were promised by the government and the MP. Unfortunately, it has broken down and the miles, the next one has not here.
But according to Managing Director of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, Owen Ellington, the only bus assigned to St. Thomas was out of service due to a mechanical defect. Over in St. Catherine, we also observed these students waiting. But the transport minister is confident once the remaining buses are rolled out, it will address the gaps.
The other 40 buses will be commissioned between September and November, which will make the 100 buses that was committed to serve 258 schools with 122 routes.
The government invested $1.4 billion to procure the buses. As for scheduling, Finance Minister Favour Williams cautioned it is a work in progress.
It can only get better from here. We are going to perfect it all across the island, and this is a staple in the education system.
We will see what needs to be tweaked. I have a meeting set for Friday to review everything that took place this week, to see whether we need to adjust routes, to see whether we need to adjust buses, whatever it is, based on what actually happens on the ground this week, which will be the first week of the rural school bus implementation.
Didn't heard what Fable said, I really. I'm drinking grape juice made with grapes from my local park. How about you? I didn't hear a word that Fable said. Just like how Fable never turned up for the economic debate, she's still not turned up. It's still the same old piece of cardboard. It is still the same old piece of cardboard, cut out, put down in front of it. So me really never hear what Favour said. But given that the one for St. Thomas broke down a road,
It's fun.
the one for St. Thomas broke down a road. I wonder if I just that the one there. But then Prime Minister, sometimes I want to cuss you, see? Cuss and go on like hooligan, because it's the only way Jamaica Labour Party supporters would understand. But I'm not going to really dignify them like that. If they are new, Prime Minister, new things come with warranty, isn't it? How is it that in the same year, the same month, when we buy the new bus them, we start being out of pocket by have to have them mechanically fixed, buy tires, cut new doors. But the Prime Minister, up until yesterday, says the buses were new. Why we not for talk? If the Prime Minister can blatantly lie to the people of Jamaica on a day-to-day basis, why we not get up every day and come out here and say the Prime Minister is not only a thief, the Prime Minister is not only a criminal, but is a liar as well. We entitled for say so. Otherwise, when I tell him, shift up and shut him mouth.
This morning, I decided to observe firsthand the rollout of our new buses and to see the impact of the buses on public transportation. The number of buses that we have put on the routes today, both in Kingston and in Montego Bay, will significantly improve the quality of our public transportation, both in terms of the quality of the service, the condition of the bus, and reliability.
The Prime Minister says new buses. There he's talking to labor rights. The Prime Minister is talking to only the sector of the country that supports him. He's not talking to all of us as Jamaicans. Because you cannot, it's only labor right you could tell that these are new buses. Why can the Prime Minister not accept reality for what it is? You bought us some second-hand buses, which prove to be a burden on the taxpayers. You bought us what you call new buses, which is a burden on the taxpayer. Because the minute they've landed in Jamaica, we have to go in our pocket to start fix them in all sort of way. How then can the Prime Minister continue to use the word new bus? A man with a so-called doctorate degree. The Prime Minister has a bachelor, a master's, a doctorate, one step below a professor. But the Prime Minister keep coming to the nation and speaking like an absolute butu. A butu of Cumberland Road, Prime Minister, is not an uptown butu. A butu from Cumberland Road is still a butu in Beverly Hills, Prime Minister. When you go down with the butuization, Prime Minister, every time the man open his mouth, be a butuism drop out of it. When are you going to speak in a way that people said, at least he've earned it? Your way of speaking, Prime Minister, does not match up with your degrees. As we would say, dunce as fuck. Or you are deliberately butuizing the people of Jamaica by forcing us to believe an old thing is a new thing. This guy has no respect for us. You're not speaking as the Prime Minister for the Jamaica Labour Party. You're speaking as the Prime Minister for Jamaica. And when a butu like Andrew Holness can come tell us that these buses are new, something it took him 9 years to sort out. And the minute them drop in our country, it has become a burden to the taxpayers. $25 million in tires, retrofitting, mechanical servicing. The Prime Minister said they are new buses. They chose Jamaica. But did Jamaica choose them? Your children have been turned away from school.
It's that time of year
Because of their hair. But when they turn up in school, it looks like they're in a makeshift environment, not somewhere that is the easy jerk wagwan, bro. Not somewhere that is designed for a comfortable teaching and learning environment. That's what you voted for. You voted for the attack on your children. You voted for the continued attack on the African identity. Mark Golding came to us with manifesto policy of how he would rectify the situation. What we have September morning, less than a week after Prime Minister Andrew Holness secured his third term, is an attack on the African identity, an attack on African culture, an attack on your God-given identity. But it's all right for Dana Dixon with a bunch of fluff. A bunch of fluff. Cut off from logwood tree. Put on her hair and enter into a school with it. But our children, beautiful black hair, is just not good enough to be a part of the Jamaican dream or a part of the Choose Jamaica Brigade. Your children, African hair, is not a part of the Choose Jamaica.
It's that time of year again. You might be thinking back to school, but we're specifically talking about students being locked out because of grooming and attire. A concerned parent called our newsroom Monday morning. This is her son's haircut. She said he was barred from entering the school. And at St. James High School, a group of boys gathered outside the school gate. The problem? Haircuts, altered uniform, shoes. The school's chairman says in such cases, parents or guardians are to be contacted and students sent home in their care.
The code stipulate how students are to be attacked.
You see the same St. James School. It is the school that Chopper John go there. You all would remember that video. When Chopper John got there, the labor right Chopper John got there to fight the PNP principal. Do you remember that? It's the same school that because Chopper John was having issues with the principal, Chopper John went to the school and put on a padlock on the school gate. Same school closing out our children. So whether they been run PNP or JLP affiliated, the problem of attack on our African identity in Jamaica must stop. It is something protected in our constitution. All of these are constitutional violations. We know the JLP people don't so no won't understand the implications of this. This is why things like these end up in courts. Because they are a blatant and continuous violation of our fundamental rights protected under the Constitution. What is it that the schools, the educators in our country, what is it that they do not understand? Bring back civic even for the educators.
It's that time of year again. You might be thinking back to school, but we're specifically
Moderators,
talking about
any
students
JLP
being
come on
locked
my
out
platform with
because
a
of
bullshit
grooming
this
and
morning,
attire. A
block them.
concerned parent
We
called our
don't
newsroom
need
Monday
these
morning. This is her
undereducated
son's
top
haircut.
knowledge
She
people
says he
over
was
here.
barred from entering the school. And at St. James High School, a group of boys gathered outside the school gate. The problem? Haircuts, altered uniform, shoes. The school's chairman says in such cases, parents or guardians are to be contacted and students sent home in their care.
The code stipulate how students are to be attired. And if that code is being breached, there's an agreed way as to how it is dealt with. Now, locking students out of school is not one of the things that the board agreed with. We have discussed it at length because it's something that occurred quite a few times. I myself had to visit the school on several occasions where students were prevented from entering because of some of these breaches.
It caught the attention of DSP Peter Salke, Zone 3 Commander for St. James.
I have not yet spoken with the administration as to why they have been.
Chapa John is speaking on behalf of the government. He says the government does not agree with this. If the government does not agree with this, why is it a running debacle in our education system? The government is the one who has the responsibility to fix this through legislation or a directive from the Ministry of Education for schools administrators to abide by the Constitution when it comes to freedom of expression, particularly to our children here. If the government doesn't agree with it, why then the government does not take steps to solve the issue? As Mark Golden has a plan in his manifesto to deal with the problem. So the government can't come out here, or operatives or surrogates of the government can't come out here. Can't tell we say the government don't agree with it. The one person in our country to solve this problem is the government. If the government does not agree with it, then solve it. Do the fetics, solve it. If we don't agree with it. But having it run on when it's a problem that only the government can solve, if the school administrators are hell-bent and violating Constitution when it comes to freedom of expression, then it is the government job to fix it. Whose job is it, labor rights? Choose Jamaica Brigade. Whose job is it to fix the problem? Well, remember a lot of JLP stop on road play marbles, so they wouldn't understand what we really are talking about. So question, what if something happened to those children during lockout of school, out of hours, who will be held responsible? The government. When you see the school, the Ministry of Education, the school administrators, they all will be culpable. When you send, once your children leave your home and get to school compound, whether they let them in or not, the school becomes the custodian of your children until school finishes. So if the school turns your children out to go farm gang, for danger reach them, or whatever may happen to them out there, it is solely the school and the government responsibility. If you are or have to turn children away from school, the parent must be contacted to come to school, come collect them. Because when you send them off to school, the school becomes the custodian for the next 7 to 8 hours. But everybody walk around in Jamaica with their emotion on their sleeve. Nobody choose to follow the rules. Or if you're a JLP operative, you can make it up as you go along. If you're a school administrator who have lost passion for education, then your job would be to prepare people for the Vogue magazine rather than preparing them for a new world of work and interaction. You're focusing on their hair. Hair, you know. Hair is a you're enforcing your school uniform policy. That's up to you. We're here. We're here. So we need the Ministry of Education to stop the bullshit of sending out task force after task force after task force without coming up with a resolution for the problem. How much task force the Minister of Education is going to send around the country to do nothing? And our children continue to lock out of school just because of their hair, their God-given African identity. From Buster to Andrew, they all have a problem with us.
It's that time of year again. You might be thinking back to school, but we're specifically talking about students being locked out because of grooming and attire. A concerned parent called our newsroom Monday morning. This is her son's haircut. She says he was barred from entering the school. And at St. James High School, a group of boys gathered outside the school gate. The problem? Haircuts, altered uniform, shoes. The
Delroy
school's
Daly,
chairman
thank you.
says in such cases, parents or guardians are to be contacted and students sent home in their care.
The code stipulate how students are to be attired. And if that code is being breached, there's an agreed way as to how it is dealt with. Now, locking students out of school is not one of the things that the board agreed with. We have discussed it at length because it's something that occurred quite a few times. I myself had to visit the school on several occasions where students were prevented from entering because of some of these breaches.
It caught the attention of DSP Peter Salke, Zone 3 Commander for St. James.
I have not yet spoken with the administration as to why they have been locked out. I don't know if it has to do with dress code or late. I'm uncertain. Nevertheless, we'll have discussion surrounding this. All in all, other than that, school have been out to a smooth commencement across the parish, based on my understanding this morning.
St. Andrew High School for Girls took to Instagram Sunday with this post, quote, "Please be reminded, absolutely no edges," end quote. The caption says, "The wearing of edges is now officially banned on campus. Remember, curtains belong in the house, not on foreheads." Students were also barred at Calabar High School, with the administration citing dress code violations. Students said black hair dye, incorrect belt buckles, tight pants, and incorrect height for hair were among their violations. TVJ News understands that the breaches were highlighted during orientation. However, students returned Monday with the infractions. Now president of the National Parent-Teacher Association of Jamaica, Stuart Jacobs, is urging parents to ensure their children comply with school rules, including those relating to grooming.
Even if you don't like the rules, even if you don't think it is fair, there's a way in which you can go about arguing these rules or arguing against these rules to be adjusted by going to your PTA meeting and speaking, or speak to your PTA president to take it to the school board. But to keep on doing these infractions and breaches, then it is not sending the right signal to as a responsible parent, and it's not a good example for your child.
This was then Education Minister Favour Williams in 2024.
We are still insisting that no child should be locked out of school because of issues with dress and grooming.
But today, the current minister, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, says she has alerted a...
That's the hair of the Minister of Education. As opposed to the hair, hold on. As opposed to the hair of this young man, among others who were turned away yesterday. That's the young man who was locked out of school yesterday. And that's your Minister of Education. Who for here Jamaica should have more of the problem? If there's a hair war in our country, which of these two should we be having a hair war on? A bunch of old man bed grown in logwood tree, drop off Pandana Dixon head, or the African identity given to us by God? Which is it that we should be having a hair war on in our country? Everybody at Jamaica know old man bed in a logwood tree, don't? If you don't know what old man bed is, then you need to take a trip to country and ask somebody to show you one logwood tree. Take a trip to rural Jamaica. Ask them, say, Global TV, say, to show you one logwood tree with old man bed in it. And I guarantee you, you would not recognize the difference of a bunch of old man beard in a logwood tree than with a Pandana head. You wouldn't recognize the difference. So if there ought to be a hair war in Jamaica, it ought to be against the Minister of Education. Yes, them grew up on light post to Ladybug. I never even remember so them grew up on light post as well. But in the logwood tree, you tend to have a big bunch, just like how you say drop off Pandana head there. The one them will grow in a logwood tree, them grow just like Dana. You not just that country, you know. If you not come from town, go country, it grow faster in Swiss up tree. You know, me never see, me no remember ever see old man beard in a Swiss up tree. But where we come from, down a Parati, you can guarantee you are going to find it in logwood tree. I think it in a park nut and kasha tree as well too, you know. I think it in a park nut and kasha as well. But St. Elizabeth, you normally find it on light post, as Ladybug say, or me best known for see it on logwood tree. Trust me, you would notice the difference. So if there's a hair war in Jamaica, it must be against the Minister of Education and not against the children of Jamaica who are wearing their God-given identity. It grow along in soursop tree. Okay. I just saw some down by the cave on my property in St. Anne last week. Yes, anybody know old man beard? And that was the war against in our country. The old man beard with the Minister of Education pop off a tree and put on our head and I walk up and down in our country from there and I come a Senate. The one hairstyle, she changed it for about a week. Remember when she and Andrew and Kamina, they go where India? She changed it just before she go where India. And she changed it like a week or two before. And just before them go where India, she changed it back to the old man beard again. Yet still, it is this government that does not want to solve the ongoing, long-running problem of our children here in school. Why can't the minister, or why shouldn't Jenny Oates say she have them on orchids? Why shouldn't the Minister of Education be the one to set the example in our country? You see how we are confused with children them? It's not all right for you when you come to school, but it's all right for the rest of society. It don't make no sense. This continuous war on our hair. Where you say, Mr. Cool and Deadly, a bad mind, the bad mind. Because you know, say once you talk the truth in this country, because you're evil, or you're bad mind, or you're PNP. It's three things that you are. There are three things that you are when you speak truth in this country, or you speak on the issues of this government. You're either evil, bad mind, or you are a PNP. You can have it no other way. But remember me telling you, say, me not come if it turn long with you today because I say, today the last way I will get like a good sun because to say rain and all that jazz I go start tomorrow, and I am going to pick more grapes today. Let me show you my grape juice what I make from grapes I pick in my local park yesterday. Run them underwater all night, and then this morning me get up and me make me grape juice, organic grape juice, may I add. Organic grape juice, not Bill Gates, walla them. Organic grape juice. So let us start a hair war against the Minister of Education, because the Minister of Education cannot have this in our country while our children can wear what God gave to them. It's not fair. Good for the goose, it's good for the gander as well. Well, those are my grape juice I made from organic grapes picked in my local park. I'm drinking grape juice. What about you? Thank you very much for being here with us this morning on Global TV. Lovely to have your support. If you're new to the program, please give us a subscription or a follow. So when we go live, you certainly will get our notification. Thank you very much for being here this morning. Make sure if you have not yet hit the like button, you do before you exit the program. Thank you for your time this morning. And if you have any social media page, ask the Minister of Education for Jamaica, shouldn't you be the one to set the example? As I said in the start, from Buster to Andrew, they all have a problem with the African identity. Thank you. Good morning and good afternoon from Global TV.
Oh, thy peace, God of my salvation, because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come with I. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. Not a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside a rub and cheat, and not first and for make out what I seen to. Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. So, my favorite man, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the day them can sell out Rasta and sell it out, I sell out Babylon. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Big man throw one stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the dead and can sell out Rasta and sell out, I sell out Babylon. Just stop on the Friday. You might throw a stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man throw a stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let him see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one. Big man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black baby man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man throw one stone, and it bring a